Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and it's time to look ahead to the waiver wire for Week 7 in the NFL. And to help me do it, my patty cakes, Pat Fitzmaurice, and a very good move because the Brewers are moving on after this weekend. I watched it. I was rooting for you, Pat, and I didn't jinx it on our Saturday stream. I said no predictions. You predicted they would lose. And of course, you didn't want to jinx it, so no jinx. They're moving on. And of course, DBro, Derek Brown, the king of bros, who's got all the Rico Dowdle shares you could possibly handle and is loving life right now. And I'm loving life too, because last week, if you're watching the Betting Pro shows, I went on kind of a week-long monologue. I think I talked about it in every show because I wanted to send out the flyers there. I wanted to send that flare way up in the sky for everybody to see that Baker Mayfield was plus 950 for MVP. And this morning, we wake up and Baker Mayfield is now plus 350 for MVP after beating the 49ers or whatever's left of the 49ers. And you know what? I think the Buccaneers might be the best team in the NFC. I bet them to win the NFC. I am all in on Baker Mayfield. Pat, am I crazy? Am I just feeling the vibes? I'm wearing my Bucs shirt today. I'm getting very excited about Baker Mayfield and what that Bucs team's been doing these last few weeks. Ooh-wee. That's a big win there for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, not crazy at all, Joe. And two high-profile games coming up. One this week when the Buccaneers visit Detroit, and Baker could be down a few weapons in that one. So if he can beat the Lions on the road with his depleted weaponry, I mean, that is it might be even money at that point.
That might be it, right? I mean, DBro, like we keep hearing that the Evans injury is one that, like, well, he's maybe we get him next week. Well, now with the Egbuka injury, it feels like there's a little bit of pressure there because it is such a big game. But to Pat's point, if he's out there with the Johnson boys and Sterling Shepard, and he goes on the road, and Baker Mayfield on the road as an underdog is about as good as it gets in terms of money in the bank. I mean, I don't know how you stop this narrative of Baker Mayfield and the maturity and the growth and all this stuff, but really it's the continuity of what the Buccaneers have done. And people thumb their nose and roll their eyes when they took Emeka Egbuka. Nobody's laughing now except the Buccaneers because they got another stud wide receiver who's going to take them through the next decade with Baker Mayfield. The Bucs, I think, are the most dangerous team right now in the NFC in a time where I think everyone's looking around the NFC and saying, who is the best team? The Eagles are struggling. The Rams are kind of struggle bus right now. Puka's hurt. So who do you think is the best team in the NFC right now?
Oh, good Lord. That's a great question.
I think it's the Bucs. I'm going to straight out just say it.
I think you can make a case for the Bucs. That's the thing, because Baker Mayfield's playing at such a high level. Like, I wrote it up in the primer this last week. I was like, no receiving weapons, doesn't matter. No offensive line, doesn't matter. Starting running back out, doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield's just like, come on, boys, get on the back. Let's go. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care, man. And it's awesome to see. Look, I'll throw this out here. Last part about Baker. I love to see everything that he's doing, and I love the quote that came out this last week when he talks about the perception of who he is as a player. And early in his career, he's cocky, he's immature, and now it's all moxie, and now he's a dog. The Cleveland Browns, y'all never deserve this guy. Buccaneers fans, enjoy.
Yeah. Winning does change everything. Also, speaking of winning, we've got a winner for our NFLPA Wall Smack giveaway from Trophy Smack. And I don't know why they do this to me, but congratulations. The winner is Sloaney the Pony. Sloaney the Pony. You're the big winner. So I don't want to not be excited, but I feel like they choose these sometimes just to make me say them on the podcast. So please, Sloaney the Pony, hit us up when you get off your...
Thank you, John. Thank you, Callie. Love y'all.
Yeah, when you pull into the barn, make sure, Sloaney Pony, you hit us up at mailbag@fantasypros.com with your mailing address, screenshot of your YouTube account, and of course, we'll confirm that and get that Wall Smack sent out to you right away. And again, that's congrats to Sloaney the Pony.
You don't like ponies, Joe? You have kids.
No.
Everyone loves ponies. Come on.
No.
No,
I don't like ponies.
No
I
ponies.
like horses.
No ponies for Joey.
No, I'm not a horse guy. No. I'm just a city boy. When one giveaway runs away, another one takes its place. And this week we're back to the Fantasy Football Championship belt. Now they forget ponies. This is the pony. This is the one right here. The championship belt from our good friends at Trophy Smack, the #1 destination for epic fantasy football hardware. This is your moment, everybody, to get it. It's massive. It's gold plated. It's awesome. You can hit one of your league mates and steal their pick with it next year at the draft, or you could just display it in a case above the mantle, right above the fire. Either way, How you win, you subscribe to the channel, you drop your comments below, you ring the bell till it goes ding, and you like this video. That's it. That's all you got to do, and we'll be announcing the winner right here on the channel, and God knows what that person's name is going to be, but I will read that regardless because that's my job. All right, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to get to the waiver wire pickup of the week, and we have to start with a Charger running back. Nope, it's not Hassan Haskins. It is Kimani Vidal, and I hate saying this. Derek Brown was right. Oh, God. Derek Brown was right. 18 carries for 124 for him. Also had 3 receptions on 4 targets for 14 yards and a touchdown. So it was a huge day, but it was against the Miami Dolphins. So, Pat, I'm going to keep Derek Brown in the corner for a little while because I know he wants to victory lap this. So instead, let's go to you here on this one. And let's talk about what you saw. Look, the Dolphins are the gift that always keeps on giving. But if you look at the schedule here, some mixed bag of matchups coming up and the trade deadline, which I think the Chargers still want to get somebody else into this backfield. So when you take that into account, he's already 45% rostered on Sleeper. He's less on Yahoo. Where would you set your spend on Kimani Vidal with the matchups and the looming trade deadline ahead based on what you saw against a Dolphin team that is the worst in the NFL against the rush?
I just wish I had the courage and my convictions to have been more in on Kimani Vidal over the sort of plotting Hassan Haskins. You know, I was like a Vidal truther last year, really, like sort of the contact balance and like a little bit of wiggle too. And I thought he was maybe kind of slow, and then he ran a pretty good 40 time at the combine. So he outsnapped Hassan Haskins 43-20 and outtouched him 21-7. So like Omarion Hampton can't come back until week 10 at the earliest. So I don't know if they trade for anyone, Joe, if they expect to get Hampton back. And, you know, there hasn't been any ominous reporting about the injury that he might miss the rest of the season. So I don't know, for a good 4 or 5 week run out for Vidal, we're recommending a $13 bid as sort of the true value for Vidal. But in a league where it's competitive and you're really hurting at running back, you might have to go up to like 25.
All right. So they have a bye in week 12. This is the schedule that leads up to it, DBro. Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, Tennessee Titans, Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a mixed bag. You know, you got Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, pretty good defenses. Indianapolis, plucky on defense. Lou Anarumo's doing a really good job there. Tennessee, not so much. But, I mean, how do you... I understand being all in this week for cheap on Vidal in this matchup. But now it's different. Like, now if we sit down at the waiver wire, you have to really make a decision, to Pat's point, which is how good can he be for the next few weeks? Does Omarion Hampton just come back in here, or does Vidal have a chance to really kind of not take this job, but kind of cement himself here a little bit where they don't continue at least to kick the tires on other running backs via trade or even free agency?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now Kimani Vidal's got the runway to prove that he can be the guy. And I think the upcoming matchups kind of lend themselves in his favor. Like, you can run on Indy. We've seen that Minnesota is a much tougher pass defense than a run defense, and you can run on the Tennessee Titans. So I think he's got this 3-week stretch of games to kind of prove, can he be the guy before the Chargers maybe make a move? And I mean, we've heard rumblings. Like, I mean, I think like it was Ian Rappaport and others posting this week that the Chargers are kicking the tires on running backs. Now, whether that's Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, we don't even know, because both those guys have come out and said they want to stay with their team. So I don't even know if
Breece Hall wants to stay with his team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him after Aaron Glenn
wants to stay
horrible
with his team
coaching
anymore.
job. Horrible coaching job by Aaron Glenn. Like, just Kurt Warner was on that broadcast about to like blow a gasket because he's like, I don't understand what they're doing. But with Kimani Vidal, like I think like Pat, what he's talking about here, like, you're probably going to have to spend 20 to 25% in most leagues. And right now with a lot of teams, I mean, come on, guys, we're all out there in the fantasy landscape. How many teams do you have that are hurting for injuries or that are teetering on the brink of going down the tube, that are, you know, only got 2 wins, 3 wins, you know, what have you? I mean, so for those teams, which is a lot of people in fantasy right now, yeah, spend and get him, because he was the clear lead back. And I know the Dolphins are horrible, but the upcoming 3 matchups for Vidal are really good. So I think
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, looking at him owning the backfield, like Pat talked about, he had a 56% route share. Like, the dude had 21 touches and 138 total yards, and I watched most of that game. Vidal looked good. He looked decisive, shifty. The second gear is not there. Like, he's not pulling away from guys. There were some big lanes, and a lot of that was the Dolphins. But the upcoming 3 matchups are good, and I think he's going to have RB2 value in those. So you have to figure out, is that worth it for my team? And I think that's worth 20 to 25%.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go that crazy. I think the Dolphins inflate those numbers of anybody. I really do.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Watching the Dolphins not tackle anybody is just stunning. I don't know, maybe even more stunning is watching Tua Tagovailoa in press conferences after too.
Jeez, man.
Ooh-wee. By the way, too, buys this coming week here for week 7, Baltimore and Buffalo. So no Derrick Henry, no James Cook. Those are another. You're fighting with those people too on the waiver wire for more running back help potentially. So let's keep looking at the guy who was supposed to be the starter. But not really. I mean, what does that mean? Bam Knight, 18% rostered. So the Arizona Cardinals threw us a curveball on the weekend where they said, oh yeah, Bam Knight's going to be the starter. And DBro, I always feel like this. We've had this conversation a million times. Every time I hear that, I rush to start the other guy. I just feel like it's the most overrated nonsense. I don't understand why it happens. We try here to give you good information all the time. And whenever I hear someone's named the starter out of nowhere, it always kind of, just doesn't ring true for me. Now, he did save the day with a touchdown. He is 18% rostered. So is Bam Knight somebody you're interested in going forward with on the free agent wire in week 7?
I am, but this is the guy that is the tentative spin for me because I think this backfield just could be a freaking mess. I mean, we got that news from Schefter, what was it, an hour and a half before kickoff, and everybody's like, what? Okay, yeah. Well, that's new. He ended up playing 51% of the snaps. He only had a 28% route share, so he was the early down guy. He got 11 out of 21 running back carries and all the goal line work. I just think this is just Jonathan Gannon still flailing as a head coach, and the upcoming matchups are okay-ish. Like they get Green Bay, Dallas, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. Most of those run defenses, I don't want the early down guy for. So Bam Knight, this is the guy that I'm more likely to just be like, look, I'll toss out 5%. I'm not going higher than that. Somebody else gets him, have fun.
Pat, I think he's a complete trap. Honestly, I really do. They got the Green Bay Packers next week, Pat, and then they have a bye. So really, it's like, what are you spending for on Bam Knight? I feel like if you want Bam Knight, just wait another week, and when he gets dropped back to the waiver wire on that bye week, and then you can get him for free and sneak him through. I wouldn't spend anything on him, to be honest with you. But maybe you see things differently, Pat. How do you parse his value week 7 and beyond?
No, I don't see it that much differently, Joe. It's he is a committee back. Like he did outsnap Michael Carter, but it was only a 37-32 margin. Bam Knight had 12 touches. Carter had 11. I'm kind of with you. Like he's not going to add a lot of pass catching value, and like you said, kind of a tricky matchup against Green Bay this week. Then the bye, then Dallas. Not a bad matchup in week 9, but at that point you're maybe close to a return for Trey Benson.
All right, let's talk about a couple stashes too. Again, at RB, if Breece Hall is dealt, and I still believe that the Jets should deal him, you're done, New York Jets. Sorry. I wake up every morning and thank the good Lord that somehow I did not become a Jets fan living in the tri-state area. I'm just saying, like, thank you. I really appreciate that. But trade Breece Hall. Like, it's fine. It's not going to change the trajectory of your season. And if so, Isaiah Davis is a guy you have to have. He's 11% rostered. We still keep waiting for Brashard Smith. Maybe it's never going to happen at 13%. So let's say Davis and Smith are both out there. Pat, who do you think is the better stash going forward here if you're in a deeper league?
I do think it's Davis. A buck or two, and you could possibly have yourself a featured back. Whether through trade or maybe Breece Hall gets hurt at some point. Granted, a featured back and not a very good offense, but the offensive line isn't trash. The Jets have some pretty good guys up front, so I like that. I mean, with Brashard Smith,
Justin Fields did get sacked 9 times.
9 times, yeah,
9 times yesterday.
That's crazy.
As many absences as Ferris Bueller had. It's a lot.
The Chiefs' backfield is just going to be a mess no matter what, and I don't think anyone is taking it over. And with Rashee Rice coming back this week, I'm not sure any running back in Kansas City is real substantial value.
It's frustrating, isn't it, DBro? Because I feel like we all see it. Like I saw that one Brashard Smith moment. I go, oh, look, there he is. Oh, look, he looked good. Let's get him the ball again. Nope. No, we just don't care. Let's get Hollywood Brown some jet sweeps. Let's do that. Like it's just not in the cards. The Chiefs offense is too gimmicky, and once again another running back will die on the vine in Kansas City. It's very frustrating to watch. But if we haven't learned our lesson from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I guess we'll never learn.
Yeah, man, it's sad. I mean, like we can all see the juice that Brashard Smith has versus Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, and then it's twofold for me. It's the fact that they will not feature the kid. And the other part is Andy Reid just doesn't give any qualms about not running the ball. He does not want to run the ball at all.
No,
so, like, it's also, they don't
And if
care
he
about
does,
any
it's
running
these
backs
weird
because they don't want to run the
gimmick
ball. So
It's these gimmick runs where there's like 3 fakes before we hand the ball off, and it's like a jet sweep, reverse throw. Like it's just, whatever we found in 1947 in some college football game that, worked once, and we're going to go run it out there. It's fun, but it's not fun for fantasy. All right, let's talk about guys to drop here at the running back position. Let's start with Kenneth Gainwell. A lot of people were saying, oh, look at Gainwell in that game before the bye week in international world where no Jalen Warren. Well, guess what? Nothing this week against the Cleveland Browns. So would you drop Gainwell, DBro?
yeah, I mean, he's in a handcuff territory. So it depends on what handcuffs do you want on your team. I mean, so Gainwell's
So if
worth
you
a
have
drop.
Warren, you keep him?
Yeah, or I mean,
Okay.
if you want to play the handcuff game, then sure. I mean, like, but yeah, I mean, do you drop him for any one of these guys we've talked about previously? Like, I would drop Gainwell for Isaiah Davis. I want to, as rough as that sounds, I just believe in the talent of Isaiah Davis more. But I'll add a name to this too, Joe. Amari DiMercado. He's firmly in the doghouse. If you got him on any roster, drop. Bye.
No kidding. Hassan Haskins, after the Vidal performance, would you drop him, Pat, or would you hold on a little longer?
I think I'd probably drop. I don't think, even if something were to happen to Vidal, I don't think Haskins is going to get a backfield to himself. Then I think they'd work in a lot of Naheem Hines on passing downs. You might see Amar Johnson promoted from the practice squad. I don't think he's been promoted yet. So, I think you can get rid of Haskins.
Agreed.
All right, coming up next, the wide receiver talk, and Puka Nacua looks like he's going to miss some time. That information just came through here as we're recording this program. We're going to get you caught up on that. But also, I want to remind you of today's sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. It's Monday, and Week 6 is going to wrap up with an exciting Monday night doubleheader. Buffalo, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington. And you can listen to the streak here from Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub, and you can find live odds to bet this one right on the Hard Rock Bet app. Rome Odunze, by the way, an A-rated guy on Fantasy Pros consensus this week. If you want to bet him to score a touchdown, Odunze is on the 4-game touchdown streak. So you can bet on that at Hard Rock Bet. And remember, you place your first bet of $5. If it hits, you get $150 in bonus bets plus your winnings. Plus, tonight on Hard Rock Bet, you can get a Monday night parlay boost for the games. What? Boost your parlay so it pays extra winnings. There's new promos every day. So if you listen later, just open up the app and check out what they've got going on this week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit. All right, so Puka Nacua has got a ankle sprain. No surprise there. They didn't use the word high ankle, at least not from what I'm seeing yet, but we're not going to have him this week. So another wide receiver, and I'm assuming too, as Buka goes for an MRI, we're probably not going to have him this week either. I know it's a huge game for the Bucs because the Lions are down a little bit. If you get a big road victory over them, Pat, that's like the difference between home field advantage and the playoffs right now. Because I think the 49ers are lackluster. The Rams are lackluster, right? The Eagles have taken 2 losses in a row. The Buccaneers could go out there and assert their dominance. I don't know if they get Evans back. We'll see, but I think it's unlikely having Buka. So we're missing a lot of guys now at the wide receiver position. Hopefully we get CeeDee Lamb back this week. But let's talk about Kendrick Bourne, because I think the sentiment was, sure, Kendrick Bourne, flex worthy this week. Mac Jones is playing. You like what you saw. Maybe Juwan Jennings gives him a little bit of a problem there, but still maybe a double-digit point guy in PPR. But probably not going to put up 140 yards again. Well, we were wrong. He put up 140 yards again, everybody, and that is just stunning here. Pat Fitzmaurice, talk to me about Kendrick Bourne, because I'm at a loss for words about this guy. I mean, he's been around the league for a while. He has never had a back-to-back series of games, anything quite like this.
And he's looked great. 2 straight games with 142 yards, played about 80% of the offensive snaps in both. Played with Mac Jones in both games, and those two seem to have some sort of strange magic working, some chemistry. But I just wonder if we might be boarding the train late here, Joe. Like, things might look different this week. It's possible the 49ers get George Kittle back. It's possible the 49ers get Ricky Pearsall back. It's possible they get Brock Purdy back, and will Bourne click with Purdy the way he has with Mac Jones. So I just worry that adding Bourne now is you've already missed the good stuff, and we're headed towards sort of a different role for him.
All right, so for those people who will say in the comments, well, this guy's rostered everywhere. No, he's not. He's 51% roster on Sleeper. So unless you are running the Sleeper roster percentage, which I don't think you are out there in the YouTube comments, you're wrong. So 51% rostered. Is he a trap, DBro? Or is he somebody that's established himself in what I like to call a very productive system? Brock Purdy was good in this system. Mac Jones is good in this system. Brandon Ayuk, good in this system. Jawan Jennings last year, good in this system. This is why I didn't think they should pay Brandon Ayuk 2 years ago. This is why I thought this was a terrible idea, because the system will yield whoever you put in it with half a brain to somehow come out victorious. And Kendrick Bourne is kind of proving that. But to Pat's point, what does it look like in a week or two, obviously? And if you look at the schedule here for them, they've got the Atlanta Falcons, Houston Texans, New York Football Giants. Now, they did lose Fred Warner here, so perhaps they find themselves in a little bit more of shootout territory. That's a big piece off the defense. So what's your take on Bourne? Is he a trap? Did we miss the train? Did it leave the station?
I don't. So I think we might have missed the train for these high ceiling performances. Like, nobody should have the expectations going forward that he continues to do what he's done over the last 2 games, which is just insane. But I think as like a wide receiver 3 flex play, I think he could return value on that, because he could be this year's Jawan Jennings. That I do think is possible. And I know people say like, oh, well, the high end moments of Jawan Jennings. No, I'm talking about like, you look at the totality of what Jawan Jennings did last year. A lot of weeks, wide receiver 3 type of production, solid flex play, PPR formats. He could be that guy this year, even with Pearsall and Kittle coming back, because I don't know if we see a fully healthy version of Jawan Jennings this year. Brandon Ayuk, he's still not like full ramp up. I don't know when we see him. So Kendrick Bourne, I'm not saying that he continues this type of production over the last 2 weeks, but to Pat's point, like, yeah, Pearsall and Kittle are coming back. I don't want to overspend like 5 to 7% of fab. I think it's totally fine. Now, in some leagues, that could get you Kendrick Bourne. In other ones, you're going to miss out. But I'm not going to overspend chasing the last 2 weeks, while I do think that he continues to have viability and flex appeal moving forward.
Is Josh Downs a better addition long-term? Because he's also rostered in about 50% of leagues. And look what he's done the last 2 weeks. Look, he's had 12 receptions on 15 targets for 100 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, are we seeing Josh Downs start to build that rapport here with Daniel Jones, maybe a little later than we anticipated?
I like Downs, but again, like, I liked him the last 2 weeks prior. Like I wrote him up at the primer as a really good flex option this week. The upcoming matchups really don't like, well, Pittsburgh and the next 3 matchups are the one that you really need to look at. The other 2 matchups aren't great for slot receivers. He did only play in week 6, 50% of the snaps. He had a 60% route share. So those numbers aren't great, but what we are seeing out of Josh Downs is when he is on the field for the Colts, they're hyper targeting him. So yeah, in that flex bucket, sure. I can get in on Josh Downs moving forward.
Pat, he's got the Chargers and the Titans the next 2 weeks, Josh Downs. Do you think he's more worthy of your fab budget as opposed to Bourne?
I'm just a little worried about investing in a guy who's only played more than 60% of his team's offensive snaps once this season. Yeah. And that once was just barely over 60% at 62%. And maybe he gets hyper-targeted in the right matchups. But the Colts do kind of spread the ball around. They've got 3 good receivers. You know, they've got Pittman, and Alec Pierce is kind of underrated too. And, of course, tight end Tyler Warren. And Downs is just sort of this low-impact receiver, low average depth of target. He's averaging 8.3 yards per catch. And he did have the touchdown yesterday, but, I mean, he's got 8 touchdowns in 37 career games.
This is Fitzy's Wan'Dale Robinson. He's not a fan.
Yeah,
I'm just on the field a lot. I thought last night, and I didn't even get up this morning to look at the percentages. Was I crazy, or was Isaac Tesla on the field a ton last night?
I mean, he's become their 3rd receiver now. It seems like
right?
That. He has
he
passed
was on the
Khalif
field
Raymond.
A ton last night. DBro, do you have those numbers there? The snap percentage that he had last night?
Because no, I could pull it real fast.
It was one of those things like you're watching the game, you just start observing it, and I'm always looking for him because I got a couple shares in some deeper leagues waiting.
He played. I mean, to your point, Joe, he played a season high 46% of snaps. Like that's the first time he's crested over 33%. No, you're not crazy.
Well, I am crazy, but I'm right.
Well, yeah, but not about this. Not about this.
I'm right about this. It's just something like you start to notice it because you're actually looking for him.
Yeah, you're like, oh, he's out there.
Saying, he's out there again. Boy, he's out there again. Oh, he's out there in this spot. Now he's not getting a lot of targets, but he's out there. That's the beginning. Yep. That's how it starts. That's how it works, kids. All right, let's talk about 2 Patriots wide receivers. Boy, oh boy. That Drake May, Fitzy. He looks like he's going to be pretty good. What an incredible stat, too. Did you see this? age of 23 or younger quarterbacks to have 3 straight games of 100 passer rating and 200 yards. Only 3 guys: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, and now a 4th one, Drake May.
Good
Interesting
Lord,
company
there.
there.
Wow.
You like that?
company.
You like that stat nugget? I
Yeah,
always got the
dude.
nuggets. I bring the nuggets here. Kayshon Boutte, who is a darling in week 1, and everybody got sour and dropped him, and Stephon Diggs popped off. Well, Kayshon Boutte had a big day, big touchdown catch there, incredible catch, and great throw too. And the only spot where you could possibly get that ball was stunning. Great coverage by that corner too. And then Demario Douglas, 7% rostered, who had another one big play, kind of made up his day. I don't want to chase Douglas, DBro, but Kayshon Boutte, again, it feels like maybe there is room now as Drake May is developing, and I just threw that stat out. We all knew it was going to be a very Stephon Diggs-centric week last week against the Buffalo Bills. But if Drake May is going to be this guy now who's just spreading the ball around, that makes him more dangerous, and it makes Kayshon Boutte potentially a little bit more intriguing. What are your thoughts?
It does make it more intriguing. I just worry about, because, again, after the week 1 performance, I was all in on Boutte going into week 2, and then it was like, oh, he comes down with a touchdown grab, and I'm like, we're off to the races. Mm-hmm. And that's all he does. And I'm like,
that's it.
And then weeks 2 through 5, he doesn't have any more than 2 receptions and 28 receiving yards in any game. And then he goes, the week that I'm all in on Stephon Diggs, and I'm like, look, he's a wide receiver 2. Everybody's got to play him. Diggs goes silent and Boutte goes off for a big game. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, what are we... But this all comes down to, yes, I think the New England Patriots are spreading the ball around. Drake May is finding open receivers, whether that's Diggs or Hunter Henry or Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. There's going to be volatility, but Boutte is definitely worth a pickup. It just comes down to, Patty knows how I feel about this. This is kind of feeling like when you decide to play a Green Bay Packers wide receiver and you're like, yes, the matchup, let's go. And then they give you 1 catch for 20 yards and you're like, but the process. The process. And you're like, there's no fantasy points. But Boutte's worth a pickup. And the next 2 matchups against Tennessee and Cleveland are really good. Both top 12 and PPR points allowed to perimeter wide receivers. So pick him up, but don't overspend, because with the high-end moments and the flex appeal that he does carry, the low parts of those production moments are there as well. So there's volatility.
DBro actually brought up a great point I was going to bring up, which is the schedule the next couple of weeks. These guys might be viable here, especially through the buys. Pat, do you have any love for Boutte? I know Douglas probably not as much, with 1 big play there, but but again, it's like if May is progressing at this rate, which is kind of stunning the last couple of weeks, maybe we have to readjust our thought process a little bit.
Yes. Kayshon Boutte, I like him more than DBro, who is going to try to sell you a little later on a Houston Texans receiver. I'm not real interested in. I would much rather have Kayshon Boutte. He is only playing about 2/3 to 3/4 of the snaps every week, and his target share this season only 13.3%. That's not too exciting, but I kind of want to be Wayne Gretzky here, Joe, and skate to where the puck is going. Boutte is
very nice.
Boutte is 23 years old. And it seems like we're watching him get better in real time. He's averaging 13.1 yards per target this season, which is fantastic. Good things happen when you get this guy the ball. And he is paired with a quarterback who is increasingly looking like he is going to be a rainmaker for his pass catchers. Drake May is just so good. So, I kind of want to pick up Boutte. I'm not going to have him ranked.
Can we clip that?
Yeah. Phrasing.
Yeah.
He's not going to be he's probably just going to be barely inside my top 50 in the wide receiver rankings this week. So he's like a fringe starter, even in a good matchup. But the potential for him to develop into more of a must-start guy is there, I think. And I think you can acquire him cheaply enough that it's a worthwhile opportunity to take.
Can I say it's a small travesty that the Patriots aren't better? Because if they were a better team overall, Drake May would be in the MVP conversation.
Well, I mean, they just got a coach, DBro.
No, I know. I want to highlight that Drake May is playing amazing football.
Tonight, they're in first place, pal.
He is playing amazing football, dude. To y'all's points. And both y'all were much more on the Drake May train than I was. I will own. It's not an L, but I will own being lower on him. Drake May is playing ridiculously good football right now. It's awesome.
It's the touch on the passes too. It's not like it's not because he's firing balls in there. It's the touch. It's the location of the ball. It's knowing when to back off, when to throw it hard. All of those little nuances of playing the position, which I work with all the quarterbacks and, the kids, right? Like I'm kind of like the quarterback guy that works with all the kids and the footwork and all that stuff. But getting them to understand, it's like, hey, you're going to throw that deep ball. You can't throw a rocket that. You got to give them some time to get underneath the ball. Like all these little things and these little nuances playing quarterback that you teach and that you see at the NFL level that it still gets lost on guys somehow. But then there's Drake May. And I think that's like the guy who's like, hey, watch this tape. Watch how he's different in different scenarios, and it's really it's fun to see. It's fun to see that evolution.
Joe is the Tom House of flag football.
I am the Tom House of Central Jersey flag. That's right. Let's go, baby.
Dirty Jersey. Let's go.
Hey, man, I've got 3 undefeated seasons, 4 championships. Very, very.
And I hear an All-Pro quarterback. Her
Shula.
hammies are getting better, so
she's got a bad hammy. She's working it out right now. All right, let's talk about the Buccaneers situation because we kind of touched on it earlier. So here's what's left as of right now. That could be Mike Evans. I mean, I don't know how else to phrase it. Like, this is what's left. This is what we've got to deal with. We've got Sterling Shepard, who's 22% rostered. We know what he is. Tez Johnson, who's kind of fun. Like, he is fun. He's a smaller guy, a smaller frame, amazing touchdown catch. That catch was unbelievable.
Did you see the interview with him too?
I did.
He was like, he's like
a chanting for him for MVP. Yeah. Oh, how adorable. Pat, did you see that?
I did not.
So Tez Johnson, he heard the MVP chants and he thought they were chanting for him because of the catch he made. Adorable.
Oh my God.
And then you got Cam Johnson too, 0% rostered. So Pat, Buccaneers wide receivers, everyone's going to look at him this week because there's a pathway. And you got to imagine the high total. I didn't even look, but I'm guessing this game's got to be in the 50s. I'll check it right now. But where do you land here with some of these guys on the Buccaneers going into this week?
I mean, maybe nowhere.
Not happy, I can tell right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's too jumbled here, Joe. Like the target picture and the snap picture. Like Sterling Shepard played 12 fewer snaps than Tez Johnson, and the same number of snaps as Cameron Johnson. So Cade Otton has traditionally been more involved when there have been top wide receivers hurt for the Buccaneers. And
the Lions struggled with Kelsey last night too, just to piggyback that point.
They did. And I thought the setup was really good for Otton this past week, but the one thing you feared was that he was going to be going up against Fred Warner a lot, and then Warner got hurt early in that game, and Otton wound up having a decent day, like 5 for 51 or something like that. So it might be kind of a spread it around effort against the Lions, but probably that's the thing, Joe. Someone is probably going to hit against the Lions defense that, in week 6 had to play without Terry and Arnold, DJ Reed. We saw Kirby Joseph get banged up last night. I don't know if he's going to be healthy.
Branch might get suspended too.
Possibly, yeah. Branch just hauled out and slugged Juju Smith-Schuster after the game.
He's suspended. I'm just putting that out there, boys.
So right. I mean, the Lions are down to guys who are like Rock Yassin, and it's a mess.
Amik Robertson.
Amik Robertson. Yeah, like they are really bare bones in the secondary. So it might be a good week for some of these guys. I just don't know who.
All right. Streaming wise, the number for this game is already 53.5. It is the Coors Field of the NFL, DBro. I think as streamers for a couple bucks, Tez is the guy that I want to throw the flyer on because he's the big, he's the big play guy. Baker, is going to have this moment where, he's going to have to just chuck a ball downfield. I think it's Tez. And I think that's it for me. Like I would just that's my flyer guy for like $2.
I'm not against that. I think Tez is the guy if you're shooting for, flex upside ceiling. I think Shep is the guy if you want the 10 to maybe 11 empty PPR calorie, just take the points out of your flex and move on. Then it's Shepard. And watch we're all wrong and Cameron Johnson goes like nuts again and catches like 2 touchdowns.
But it's all limited, right, D? Because you have Detroit this week, and then the next week it's the New Orleans Saints, and then you're on a bye, and then you're hoping that you have like Puka, you have Evans, you have everybody back. Certainly,
at least Evans back.
Hopefully Evans this week, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Now we're not going to have Puka Nacua this week, and I don't care. Anybody can tell me about that. Yep. Jordan Whittington, 2% rostered. Now that is the guy who's been working as that third guy. So does he get elevated? We've seen Whittington have some moments there with Stafford before. Is he a better streamer? 2% roster than any of these Bucs guys potentially, DBro?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the guy you pick up over them because it's multiple spots. We've seen Jordan Whittington have high-end moments, and my dogs are going crazy right now. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
They're excited about Jordan
They're
Whittington
apparently Jordan Whittington fans as well. But Whittington, it all comes down to the consolidation of this passing attack. Like, outside of Puka and Devontae Adams, who else is it? So now we know Puka's gone, so Adams is going to step up as the clear number 1. Whittington's going to be the clear number 2 because Tutu Atwell was also hurt. Tyler Higbee is not at 100%. They're playing a carousel of tight ends, so dude, Whittington could be in for 8+ targets this week. I mean, and over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Like, they get the Jags, the Saints, and the 49ers and the Seahawks the next 4 weeks. Whittington, I mean, we don't know how long Puka's going to be out. He could be the starter for each one of those games. So, yes, like, and honestly, can we say he's probably the guy that goes for less fab than any of those Bucs receivers, most of the guys we've already talked about?
Probably, Pat. I don't disagree with that. Do you?
I think he could sneak him through.
Yeah, I think all those guys would go for pretty affordable prices.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pat, do you have any other things to add about Jordan Whittington's potential here? Because, like, we haven't heard the word high ankle sprain, but even with an ankle sprain, you're looking at a couple weeks here. And the Rams are traveling internationally this week. After that, just looking at their schedule, too. So they play, hold on one second here. Let's get that up there. Actually, it's frozen right now on me. There it is. Okay. So we have Jacksonville internationally. Then they have a bye coming up. So, again, a little tenuous there. So another short-term Band-Aid guy. I feel like that's kind of the theme of the show today. Everything's kind of like, let's be careful. It's all short-term Band-Aids.
Yep.
Yeah, I would rather have Whittington than any of the Buccaneers. And this just occurred to me. I'm not excited about doing wide receiver rankings this week because it is going to be a mess.
Oh, it's going to be a mess, dude.
Well, there's not a lot out there. Let's hope that CeeDee Lamb comes back, too. Let's hope Mike Evans comes back. Maybe we could have nice things in fantasy football. All right, a couple other guys. Troy Franklin, DBro always wants me to mention every week. He's 41% rostered. It's in my contract. I have to mention him every week. And then you have the Texans guys coming off their bye. Christian Kirk, 37% rostered. But you also got Jaden Higgins at 25. And Pat, I think if I'm taking a flyer on one of these guys, I want to see if it's the rookie coming out. I want to see if it's Jaden Higgins. I'm not a big Christian Kirk guy at this stage in the game. I know you are not either, but you tell the boys and girls why.
Well, I mean, there might just only be room for one fantasy relevant receiver in Houston, and it's obviously Nico Collins. And I think Christian Kirk is just another guy not playing full snaps, and we've got a lot of those guys that we're talking about this week. And he's got some really talented guys nipping at his heels, namely Jaden Higgins, who you just mentioned, and Jalen Noel. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really interested in Kirk at all. And Franklin, 3 straight games with a snap share below 60%. He's averaged 3.3 catches and 36.3 yards a game over that stretch. It's just not a real exciting profile.
All right. I'll throw out Jalen Coker in this mix too. So Coker, Higgins, Kirk, Franklin out there on the waiver wire. DBro, who would you prioritize in this group before we move on to the streamers?
For me, it's probably Coker, just because I think that there's a clear runway for targets and viability. And he practiced in full last week. I think he's going to be a full go this week. The Jets secondary has been struggling. Aaron Glenn has no idea how to coach a team at all. But all 3 of these guys we talked about, Christian Kirk, Troy Franklin, Jalen Coker, I think they all carry flex appeal. And a lot of it for Franklin and Kirk is just the matchups. Like the Giants and Cowboys coming up have terrible secondaries. And Kirk, again, Seattle cannot stop slot wide receivers. They've given up the 7th most PPR points per target. So I'm not telling people that all of these are like really sexy options, but throw all of these guys in a bucket. And whether you want to go with the Buccaneers guys or Franklin or Kirk, like there's a lot of flex viable matchup based flex guys out there. And with all the injuries, I mean, top players just keep dropping every single week, guys. Yep. Like we can't have nice things this year. So if that's going to be the case, we got to play matchups and we got to dig deep for flex plays.
All right. Real quick, would you drop Darnell, Mooney, Pat, from your roster to pick up some of these guys?
I mean, I don't want to. The only reason I don't want to is because, like, he's on the field all the time when
he's not
healthy.
On the field tonight,
right? I mean, when he's a healthy Darnell Mooney, he played 93% of the Falcons' offensive snaps last season, and it's just London, Pitts, and Mooney. It's a really concentrated offense. So, like, I don't want to. If you have to, you have to. I mean, thin benches, injuries galore, bye weeks. I understand, but like, he's a guy I would prefer to hold if I had the chance.
DBro, would you drop Darius Slayton?
I would keep Slayton before I would keep Mooney, only because I think with the ascension of Jackson Dart, and I continue to be enamored with the week 10 through 17 schedule for Slayton. Like, guys, there's some rough matchups in here, but there's also some really good ones, like the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, Patriots, Commanders, Vikings and Raiders. He gets the Raiders in week 17. So Slayton, the matchup, the schedule could open up where I would rather stash him on the IR and keep him over keeping somebody like Mooney.
All right, let's get to the streamers for the week. DBro, give me your streaming quarterback for week 7.
I know he's got a rough matchup, guys, but good Lord, Sammy Darnold is playing some inspired football. Like, he has looked amazing. And in the year 2025, going to the Seahawks, I didn't think that was a sentence I was going to be uttering, but here we are, guys. Like, 295 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in each of his last 2 games. He's had 28 and 20 fantasy points. So, yeah, I get it's versus the Texans. Texans aren't going to allow the Seattle Seahawks to run the ball and establish it like they want to, so they're going to have to get it done through the passing game, and Darnold's playing really, really good football, dude.
It's been very consistent fantasy-wise, too. Fitzy, give me a QB you want to stream this week.
I don't necessarily want to stream him, but you could stream Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
29
sure,
completions
for Pittsburgh for his next gig in the
yeah,
AFC North.
exactly.
Just make
29 completions in coming in off the street and being with the Bengals like for just days, and 219 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Packer defense that was putting pressure on him. Like, he didn't have a lot of time to throw. Now he gets the Steelers, who have allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks.
All right, Fitzy, give me a streaming tight end for week 7. Who do you have?
Look, I know Mason Taylor was a flop in week 6, but the matchup against Denver was a tough one. Now he gets arguably the best possible matchups for tight ends the next 2 weeks, the Panthers and Bengals. So I think Mason Taylor might have a pretty good 2-week run here.
All right, DBro, you're a streaming tight end?
Harold Fannin Jr. He might not be out there in some leagues, but he's out there in a ton of them, man. And he has got, look, David Njoku has got a knee injury. Harold Fannin Jr., I mean, arguably, guys, like, is he not the wide receiver 1 right now in Cleveland? If it's not Judy, and it's not Isaiah Bond, and it's not Njoku if he's hurt. So,
yeah.
I mean, dude, Dylan Gabriel's throwing a ton of short passes. Harold Fannin Jr. 8 last week. He's going to do it again. Like, he's honestly a fantastic streamer over the next 2 weeks. He gets the Dolphins and Patriots, who are both top 8 in fantasy points per game allowed to tight ends.
I feel like we talked about this last week, though. DBro, the New England Patriots defense was a streamer last week in New Orleans. We said just keep them because they have the Tennessee Titans this week. So that hopefully saved you some fab if you listened, right?
Absolutely, man. And Cam Ward provides. And I'll just go search what Cam Ward thinks of his own team, and that should help you out there.
Yeah, they need or what Tua Tagovailoa thinks of his own team. I keep coming back to that.
Oh man, how does McDaniel still have a job? I don't know. I don't know.
Such a mess. All right, Fitzy, who's your streaming defense for this week?
The Seattle Seahawks against the Houston Texans, and despite after their bad game against the Buccaneers the week before, they came into Jacksonville with 3 starters in the secondary, held the Jaguars to 12 points and just 4 yards per play, and sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times. And now they get a week 6 date against the Texans in their horrendous offensive line, which ranks pretty much at or near the bottom of the league in most offensive line metrics. So I think Seattle's going to sack CJ Stroud a few times in this game.
Yep. All right, Fitzy, give me a kicker for the week.
Spencer Schrader. When he, not Spencer Schrader, his replacement, Michael Badgley.
Yes.
So Schrader, season-ending knee injury for the Colts in week 5. But when he got hurt, he was tied for the lead in fantasy scoring among kickers. And then Badgley stepped in Sunday, made his only field goal and 4 extra points. The Colts have been a pretty lucrative offense for fantasy kickers.
DBro, kicker?
I'll give you the kicker 1 in fantasy points per game. Eddy Peneiro. He's had 4 games of at least 10 fantasy points. If you like kickers, you should like Peneiro.
All right. If you need more help on the waiver wire, don't forget Waiver Central at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. And when you download the Fantasy Pros app, you can instantly view all the suggestions on who you should be adding and dropping to your league. So don't make a move without syncing your leagues for free with Fantasy Pros and using Waiver Central. All right, boys, it's time for top 5. Let's get after it. Fitzy, give me your top 5 for week 7 from the waiver wire.
Kimani Vidal, top 1 easily. I'm going to say Bam Knight too, just because he's a guy you can kind of plug in and get like RB3 type flex value. Kendrick Bourne, again, you might be getting on the train too late, but maybe not. If someone doesn't come back when they're supposed to this week. Mason Taylor, because of this great 2-week run out he's got coming ahead. And then Kayshon Boutte at number 5.
Yes, that's right.
I think he's on the way up and an ascending
Boutte.
Yes.
Hey, he was a pretty good college player, Fitzy. I think people forget that.
Sophomore year, he was terrific until he got hurt.
Yeah.
He got hurt like
issues.
midway through his sophomore year, but he was lighting it up.
There you go. It's time for the Brazilian butt lift here on the Waiver Wire this week. DBro, give me the top 5 ads for you for Week 7 in the NFL.
I was waiting for you to go there. Kimani Vidal is my number 1. Van Knight 2. Kendrick Bourne 3. And like I said, it's a really good week to stream tight ends. Mason Taylor 4. Harold Fannin Jr. number 5.
All right, don't forget, Waiver Wire stream tomorrow, Tuesday, I'm sure with 4 teams playing tonight, that there's going to be more injuries and more guys in the waiver wire to talk about, and DBro and I will break them down for you Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe to the channel, drop your comments. You can win the belt if you do. So we love having you here on the shows, hanging out with us. And of course, don't forget to ring that bell till it goes ding for notifications so you never miss a piece of content here on the channel. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Derek Brown and Pat Fitzmaurice, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.